Hello, everyone. I'm Kyle Kalandarian, and this is my religion and the analysis of the Arts Project. So first off, I just want to say I was gone this weekend. I was on vacation, and I went to Georgia. And while I was there, I was thinking of places that I could go to go find an art piece, and I found the Georgia Museum of Arts, and it helped me find the art piece that I'm going to be explaining to you guys today. And let me move on. All right, now for the formal analysis. It was held, like I said, at the Georgia Museum of Art at University of Georgia, and the artwork name was Christ and the Centurion. The artist was Camillo Boccaccino from northern Italy, and the medium he used was brush and wash with white heightening over chalk paper. That's what they said on the paper next to it. And the year created is not available, but Boccaccino lived from 1504 to 1546. So it was in between those years. And then the dimensions was 13 by 18.6 centimeters. So it actually was one of the smaller art pieces that they had in the museum. And it tells the story of the faith of the centurion, which is in the Gospels of Matthew and Luke. And basically, what this story was is a Roman centurion, a man of authority, asked Jesus to help and heal his paralyzed and suffering servant, who he deeply valued. The centurion expressed that Jesus did not need to physically come to his home. He understood that Jesus had the authority to heal him with just a word, similar to how he himself commanded his soldiers to act. Jesus was amazed by the centurion's faith, noting that he had not found such great faith in all of Israel. Jesus affirmed the centurion's belief, stating, "Go, let it be done, just as you believed it would." The servant was healed at that moment. And this story really highlights faith not based on physical proximity, but on a deep belief in Jesus' divine authority and power. Um, and now looking at the painting, my eyes were immediately drawn to the left side of the art piece, where Jesus is reaching his arm out in the direction of the centurion, which was the officer in the Roman army. And it kind of just shows how Jesus is the main figure and the centurion is the main figure, and it wants the viewer to look at it. It's not symmetrical, but the color intensity isn't that pronounced due to the chalk on the paper. Like it can't create, it's more faint colors because it was also made in the 1500s. It probably looked a little bit different at that time, but we don't know. Now moving on. Now the integration of form and consent. So some messages formed from the artwork and the story. Um, Hold on one second. Um, so first one, faith knows no boundaries. So just as Jesus praised the faith of the gentle Roman, we are reminded that the genuine faith can be found in unexpected places and people. And moving on to humility and faith go hand in hand. The centurion's example teaches us that true faith is true faith is accompanied by humility, recognizing our unworthiness before God, while trusting in his power and love. And the power of intercession, we are encouraged to pray fervently for others, knowing that God hears and responds to such prayers. And understanding spiritual authority, like the centurion, we can grow in our understanding of Christ's authority over every aspect of life. Um, Breaking down barriers, this story challenges us to look beyond cultural, social, and religious differences and recognize the faith and humanity in all people. And God's power knows no limits. We are reminded in this story that God's healing and transformative power is not constrained by physical limitations. Moving on. And so, for the thematic veracity and intellectual content, some applications in reality or modern life is in the interfaith dialogue. It encourages openness and finding common ground as recognizing genuine faith across religious boundaries. And then in leadership too, as it provides a model of humble leadership where those in authority recognize a higher power and show compassion to those under their care. In prayer life, it inspires us to approach God with both bold faith and humble recognition of his supreme authority. Um, in community building, it challenges us to look beyond stereotypes and social divisions to see the humanity and potential in every individual. And in understanding Jesus is the big one. So it offers insight into Jesus's character, his openness to all, his recognition of faith, and his divine authority. It's all confirmed in this story. Um, what was I gonna say? And now moving on, the honesty and veracity. So not much was known about Camilo Bocaccino because he died very young and he only left a very small body of work. Um, Most of his artworks were religious, and Camilo Bocaccino and his family were Roman Catholic. And this was very like there were a lot of Roman Catholics in where he lived in Sermona at the time in the early 1500s. His dad was actually a painter too, so and his name was Boccaccio Boccaccino. And he trained with his father, who had introduced the style of Giorgione and Raphael, both very famous religious Italian artists. Um, as a Roman Catholic, he was definitely trying to advance this biblical story in an attempt to raise awareness of Jesus' presence in Italy. And reflection. It really, this really helped me understand an important story about Jesus that I have never heard of. Um, I mean, going to the museum in Athens really opened up my eyes on how Christian views mostly shape their worldview. Most of the art pieces in the museum were based on Christian beliefs, and a lot of them had crosses in it or telling just stories that were in the Bible. And also driving around Georgia, and even when I was leaving in more rural areas in Georgia, I saw a lot of churches that were just like it just there were as I was leaving on Sunday, I ever like the churches were packed. I've you normally don't see the churches as packed in Miami at least when I'm driving by them, but it seemed as if everyone in the neighboring areas were just headed to these churches because there was like actually a lot of traffic around there, which is kind of crazy. I also learned a lot about Italy and their role of religion in the 1500s, which is very good. It makes me more knowledgeable on those things. It also makes me want to come visit more museums in different states to see similarities and differences in the art. It's really fascinating to me how different religions will kind of shape the towns that you're in. So, and here is my bibliography. And I just want to say thank you for listening to my presentation and have a nice day. I mean,